Welcome to the Host Planet Playbook, your go-to guide for mastering short-term rentals. In this special series, we're sitting down with 30 of the world's top property managers to uncover what really drives success in the vacation rental industry. You'll hear their stories, learn the key lessons they've picked up along the way, and discover the game-changing tech they use to deliver 5-star guest experiences. If you're serious about growing your STR business, you're in the right place. We've also developed an ebook featuring the stories of every manager in this series, and you can download it for free. Head to hostplanet.club to find out more. In today's episode, we're chatting with Tracey Choy from Dongle Capital in Toronto. Stand by for a deep dive into Canadian regulation, some brilliant hosting tips, and why you need double quantities in the kitchen to deliver an outstanding guest experience. This special series is brought to you by Host Planet and Hospitable, the smart AI-powered property management software trusted by hosts worldwide. With Hospitable, you can automate guest messaging, sync calendars across platforms, and manage your rentals with ease, all from one powerful, easy-to-use platform. If you're keen to run your short-term rental on autopilot, try Hospitable today. Visit hospitable.com/hostplanet to see how the platform can save you time, reduce stress, and maximize your earnings. Tracey, thank you for being part of the Host Planet Playbook. Let's start with you. What's the name of your company? Where are you located? And how many rentals do you manage?
Thanks for having me, James. So my name's Tracey, and I'm one half of our company, Dongle Capital, Inc. We're a short-term rental management company in Canada. We're mostly based in the Greater Toronto area, but most of Southwestern Ontario up to our capital of Ottawa. And then we also have exposure out in our Atlantic provinces, so out in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. We've been operating in the business for almost 4 years now, and as of right now, we manage over 60 units across these different areas. The other half of this business is my husband, Ahil. He's not on here right now, but together we manage essentially everything with a couple of our virtual assistants.
Superb. So tell us, how did you get involved in the world of short-term rentals?
So if we go back about 4 years ago, so my background, I'm a CPA. My husband's a CFA. We've worked in the corporate world for not too long, I guess, like about 4 years post-grad. And I genuinely, lack of a better word, I just didn't like my corporate job. There was nothing wrong with my company itself. So it wasn't a matter of I want to switch companies. It was just the corporate life wasn't really for me. I wanted to do a little bit more with my life. But with that being said, I didn't just want to quit and start from zero and do nothing. So this was kind of in the middle of COVID, and me and my husband bought our first home together. And so what happened is it was a lot more space than we needed. So just for fun, it was not a business at that point. We're like, let's convert one of our basement units to an Airbnb. We did it, and it did really well. Friends and family heard about what we were doing, and they wanted us to help them out. And so we did. And then one thing led to another. When we had about not too many units, I'd say about 6 units, that's when I decided to quit. And then my husband quit a year after that. And so we've been doing this full time for the last few years.
Fantastic. Brilliant story. So tell us then about the business that you've set up. What makes your brand stand out among the competition?
Great question. So I would really say it's the way that our business is truly owner-led. So it's not that we fully just rely on complete automation. We're in the hospitality industry, and automation can definitely take your business to the next level. But really what makes you stand out is that human touch to your property. And our business is that, of course, there's a lot of attention given to our guests who are staying at our properties. But really, really important and core to our business is the owners who hire us to trust us to manage their properties for them. So for us, our business is that it's not very corporate-y, because I think that's one thing we absolutely don't like, where, and we hear it from a lot of owners, is that they did have managers before for their properties. And what normally happens is that you have to email them, or if it's after hours, you don't hear from them until Monday, 9 a.m. That's not how we work, because hospitality is 24 hours. So for us, we start a WhatsApp group chat with our owners, and they always get responses instantly from me, my partner, or anyone else on our team.
So in terms of the scaling journey, then you went from renting out the basement in your own place, and now you've got 60 units that you're managing. Tell us how you managed to get to 60. What were the tactics that you used to scale that quickly?
Yeah, it's definitely the brand and reputation that we've been able to build, being honest with our clients in terms of their expectations on the properties. We never just dangle a fruit in front of the clients and say, hey, you're going to earn 2x of long-term rentals or 3x. It's that, you can potentially earn that much, but you have to have room for error, essentially, where, outside of our control, the market might have a downturn. And in those cases, you may do less. So people really highly respect that and know that, we really know our stuff too, right? Because I think sometimes when it's too good to be true, it's really not true and people see behind that. So that's really been able to help us scale. And just really that brand reputation, word of mouth has gotten us through really, really well. We've not invested money yet into marketing. So everything has just been very organic, luckily. But the other thing is definitely we wouldn't be able to do it without. Of course, we have that human touch, but we're only two people at the end of the day. We definitely need to make sure you're hiring staff that, that are able to carry out your processes, which kind of leads to my whole thing too about having really strong systems in place. So really well documented SOPs, trackers, logs, everything in our business needs to be documented really well so that everything has standards across the board. So, that really helps us grow from one property to 10 properties to 30 properties with the same quality.
So in Toronto then, in your geographic location, talk to us about the main challenges and opportunities in the markets where you operate.
Yeah. The first thing that always comes out to me about challenges is definitely the regulatory environment. So in Ontario specifically, there's a lot of negative sentiment from the government about doing short-term rentals. So there is a lot of regulation. Every city dictates their own policies around that. So you have to be really knowledgeable with that. So the challenge is navigating those, understanding changes, because it's like any bylaw. It's not just set it once and you forget it. It's you set it, there's changes and iterations to it. So making sure you're keeping up to date with that is really, really important. So making sure that you're partnering with a short-term rental manager who knows that regulation landscape, is always monitoring it, is really, really important. And that also offers the flip side of it. It's kind of a cop-out answer, but it really is true, right? Is that knowing these challenges really gives us a lot of opportunities to stand out and get that competitive edge. We know how to understand the rules, how to comply with it, and therefore be more competitive.
In terms of delivering a great guest experience, then, what are your top 3 tips?
So number one thing is smart locks. So it's not just any smart lock. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is, one, they don't have a smart lock. They just have a key for check-in for their guests. That's a big no-no in the short-term rental industry, because that means that you're allowing breach of security in your property. A prior guest can make a copy, can lose the key. It makes everyone unsafe. Like, I personally would never want to stay at a Airbnb where someone has a key to my place that I'm staying at. Then there's the second tier where people do put a smart lock, but not every smart lock is a good smart lock, because one, you can't change the codes on demand. You can't change it remotely. Last thing you want is someone having to change the codes on site. So what we do is we only offer 2 specific smart locks that our clients are allowed, because it offers the top tier security, and that's the Schlage Encode or the August smart lock. So those are connected to our software. Every reservation gets their own unique code that's only active for their reservation. So it's very, very high security. The owner has their own code. We have our own administrative codes. So really important. The other thing that we do is that we have photo check-in guides. So, even for most basic homes where it's just a single detached home, there's one front door, we still have guidance on how you enter the home, because every we have travelers from all over the world. They're not always sure how to access the unit. So we have specific photos that's a picture of the home, and then it circles certain parts of the home, how to use the smart lock. Is there a wake-up code? Is there not a wake-up code? And guests always highly compliment us. Especially for condos, this is really important, because they're like, hey, this is a buzzer. Some people don't call it a buzzer. Some people call it an intercom. So again, having that photo gun makes it super, super clear for our guests. So your check-in process is the most important. You're making your first impression with guests. So it's really important you are nailing this to the T. And then I'd say the third way of ensuring that we have perfect guest experiences is I'd say the number one reason that guests are booking an Airbnb over a hotel is because they want to cook in your unit. So having a really, really well-stocked kitchen couldn't be more important. So for example, our standards are that whatever max occupancy that you can occupy in your home, so let's say you can occupy 6 people in your home maximum, make sure that you're having double of the dinnerware and silverware inside of the home because guests don't want to have one meal and be doing dishes right away. So having that double is really important, and also having lots of variety of pots and pans. So, not just having two frying pans and two pots, but having a big pot, they're hosting bigger families as well. So, really think of the whole experience of how people are cooking and try and cater to as many cultures as you can.
Absolutely brilliant tips. Yeah, I think that's fantastic because that check-in experience. The last thing you want is your guests to get annoyed because it's difficult for them to get in the rental. And with the kitchen utensils, I've noticed whenever I've stayed in one of my properties, I always end up buying something a little extra for the kitchen because there's something there that I hadn't noticed before. And of course, having double of everything as well. Recently, a guest contacted me and said there's only one wine glass. There were six, so I don't know where five went. But yeah, having double is just a brilliant idea, and the smart locks too. I think those are really really brilliant, actionable tips that people should take on board. We've talked about keeping guests happy. Then, so what are your top tips for keeping owners happy?
So best way is definitely having really strong and proactive communication. So I think it's a lot of times is that, us as property managers, we're not perfect either, but it's really about, being communicative, telling them how we're problem solving things is really important. So being able to let owners know in a timely manner, but also in a problem solving manner, right? Not just presenting issues to the owner, but saying, here's the issue. Here are our options of 1, 2, 3, and here's my recommendation. What do you recommend? So trying to save the owners as much time as possible, any back and forth, but being as informative as we possibly can. For example, we've been having multiple issues at one of our properties recently where the water tank needs to be replaced, the fridge has to be replaced, and we may actually need a dryer vent cleaning, So a lot of different things, a lot of expenses on the owner, but, we've been updating the owner about these things as we've been made aware of it. And we're like, hey, we're going to keep monitoring this. We don't think we need to do anything right now. And so what that's been able to do is then the owner's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep an eye out for some cheap fridges. If there's a good sale at Costco that comes up or anything. And so it's really win-win. So, making sure that they're updated really keeps them happy. Owners, despite them hiring a short-term rental manager and you thinking like, yeah, they want to be as passive up as possible, which they do. They don't want to be doing the work, but they want to know exactly what's going on in their property at all times. So just having that ongoing communication that's not just a formal email that you're sending at the end of the month or something, but, is on a live basis is so critical. And I say is the biggest way of why owners really do trust us and are referring us to their friends and families.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, excellent communication with owners really is key. What's been your biggest lesson learned since you started managing properties?
Oh, geez, the number of things that could go wrong that shouldn't go wrong or you never knew could go wrong, you have to be really proactive with things. So creating maintenance logs, trackers are so critical. So it's not just the guest experience of making things really flashy. It's making sure the foundation of the home is really working is so critical and happens round and round with the home. So if you're in an area where, pests are common, it's not so much that your home is dirty. It's just the area is known to have field mice, right? Let's say you're in cottage country or something, or that there are a bit more flies or beetles in the area. So knowing your surroundings is really important. And what that will mean then is you want to make sure you're in contact with a pest control company, find out solutions that are year round so that you're being proactive with these things rather than reactive. Because two is that when you're only being reactive to issues is that's when it's costing more money as well. So having these plans in place ensures a great guest experience and also shows the owner how much you know about all this property maintenance. But, other things like just furnace filter changes, water softener, tank pellets, keeping all like the foundation of the home running is just so critical.
Yeah, trying to get ahead of any problems. That will definitely help you. What do you love most about hosting?
I love the dynamics of hosting. So it's really and I think that was the attraction to me away from corporate. Corporate, you're just in this specific role, so in my role, I was in financial reporting in the accounting department. You're only doing that one specific role for one specific aspect of the business. What I love about hosting is that it's a blend of so many things, right? It's a blend about hospitality, not just with guests. I think that's a bit underrated about, there's a lot of care and attention that needs to be dedicated to the owners. You have to have a really good eye for design, what guests care about. Lots of problem solving is involved, as much as you can be proactive about things. There's a lot of things you can't anticipate everything, right? So being able to react to things right away, figure out what can be done right away, knowing all the stakeholders in place. It's just really rewarding. And end of the day, it's entrepreneurship. So having a blend of these things makes our everyday really, really different and exciting so it's rewarding too when you're able to tackle and accomplish difficult tasks that you were not anticipating.
What are the skills that you took from your corporate life into hosting? And do you ever miss the corporate life, or are you just so happy that you've made this switch to short-term rentals?
I would definitely be lying if I said it's a no-brainer. I would never go back to corporate. I think it's a bit of a spectrum, every day's a bit different. And like I said, just with this hosting, it is just different every day. But overall, I would definitely say I'm more happy than not skipping over from the corporate life, but it's not all happy flowers and everything, but it's very, very rewarding. I will say your question was, what's the biggest difference, was it, between corporate?
And what skills did you use from your corporate life in the new life?
Oh, so much. So I think it's definitely the organization skills are really important in communication. So it's not just, verbal communication, it's all the written communication. And it's not just written communication to other people, to your guests and owners. It's written communications within your systems in your company, right? How are you documenting your SOPs? How are your maintenance logs maintained? Notes to external vendors like the cleaners and your contractors and trades. It's all really critical, knowing like what the other party may need. And that's what we really took from a big corporate company, right? Our experience there. They have lots of SOPs. There's a lot of churn in the business all the time. So having SOPs when you have someone leave and a new person enter, that they're able to pick up where the last person left off. So that's really what we've instilled in our company as well, and having that consistency across the board.
Superb. Okay then, Tracey, we've got a few more quickfire questions now. Which PMS do you use?
We use Hospitable.
Fantastic. And what do you love about Hospitable?
We love their AI function. Their connectivity with all of our external apps as well have been seamless. We rarely have disconnectivity issues, but even in the few instances that we do, their customer service is excellent. You can get responses right away that are not just robotic, that we're just looking into the issue and you hear about the resolution 5 days later. It truly does. I don't know if it's actually customized, but it does feel customized, and it usually is always helpful, such that they're like, we're aware of the issue and we're solving it, but in the meantime, here's what you can do. So it's very action oriented.
Fantastic. Which dynamic pricing tool do you use?
We use Price Labs.
Okay. Which piece of tech couldn't you live without?
I think when you're first starting off with a few units, I think the most important would be a pricing software. You want to make sure you're not leaving any money on the table.
I think that's a great answer and very true. Ideally, pets, yes or no?
Yes.
Ideally, hot tubs, yes or no?
Yes.
A self-check-in or a personal welcome?
Self-check-in all the way.
A telephone call or an AI response?
AI response for most of the time, but emergencies is a telephone call.
Good answer. And what's your most memorable hosting moment?
My most memorable hosting moment would definitely be, so one of our first units when we started Airbnb is we did a private room in our home that we rented out. And so we were away in New York one time, and the guest checked in and he was visibly upset that he had the whole home to himself because he was scared. He's like, Does no one live here?" We're like, "We live there, but we're not in town this week." He's like, "Well, I'm scared." And he verbatim, he said, "If I was like, I'm not sure what you mean by you're scared." And he told us that the house feels like it's a conjuring. So yeah, it was a really weird situation that someone was upset he had the whole home to himself despite booking a private room. He got over it eventually after a lot of reassurance with him. And that is an example where a telephone call was needed.
Amazing. You'd think most people would be delighted to have the place to themselves. Not that,
Exactly.
but I guess he was booking an actual room in a house, wasn't he? He was expecting maybe to have some friends for a couple of days. Oh, well.
Yeah.
All right, then. So shout out time. Is there an individual in the STR space who's helped you that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh my God, yes. Sean on YouTube, on Instagram, and everything. He definitely helped us spearhead our journey in the Airbnb space. That's how we got started. We've never actually done a formal mentoring program. It's all done through YouTube University and mostly Sean, I will say, especially with the pricing side of things, how to deal with air cover, difficult guests, and design and everything.
Fantastic. Question to finish then. Ultimate goal for your business?
So our goal is really we're not chasing quantity, I would say. We're not trying to be like, hey, we're 60 units right now. We need 600 units in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. It's really about quality, and it's quality of the asset and the quality of the owners that we work with. It's really, again, we didn't just quit our corporate jobs just for nothing. We were trying to do something more rewarding for ourselves. So partnering with owners who really also equally care about that guest experience makes the job so much more fun and easier too. Telling an owner that cares about the unit that, hey, we really need to upgrade the hot water tank because people are not, like, 6 people can't take a hot shower in a row, right? Most owners, if they are really only caring about the financials, are like, that's okay. We'll just have to wait. Whereas other owners are like, you know what? That is a big deal. I would not want to stay in a home like that if I'm paying that much money per night. So, really working with owners who are almost like partners with you.
Fantastic. Tracey, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for sharing your story and for being part of the Host Planet Playbook.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that's it for today's episode. My thanks to Tracey for sharing her journey and for being part of the Host Planet Playbook. Remember, this series is brought to you in partnership with Hospitable, the all-in-one property management software designed to save you time and help your business thrive. Hospitable automates your guest messaging, syncs your calendars across platforms, handles team tasks, and so much more, so you can focus on delivering a top-notch guest experience or just get some of your time back. And here's the good news. Host Planet Playbook listeners get an exclusive 14-day free trial plus 25% off for the first 3 months. Head to hospitable.com/hostplanet to claim your offer and start running your rentals on autopilot. For more free education for vacation rental hosts, head to hostplanet.club, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen to our podcasts, and download our suite of ebooks. Until next time, happy hosting.